Spevy has gone down to check an argument in the hallway that broke out. There were two sides. One was the cannibals, the same gang from before, plus new members, about 30 of them. Then the other side were people that were against it, such as Bob, Sarah, and Henry. A man shouted, "There has to be another way." Meaty asked, "Then tell me what other way you gonna go down, fool?" A man yelled, "Boss is right. We gotta sacrifice someone for the rest of us to survive." Spevy said, "Oi, I told you not to come round here anymore. I can't keep this secret if you lot won't." Psychojack said, "Didn't I say to not pick up a fight with the big guys?" Bob said, "I'd rather kill myself than eat one of us." Meaty said, "Pathetic, trying to be the hero. Wake up, this is reality. Do you want to be at the top of the food chain or at the bottom? I intend to be on the top." Fat Man said, "Hell yeah, boss, tell him." Spevy asked, "Didn't I tell you I'd take 5? Meaty takes Spevy's hand and licks every one of his fingers and says, "5 it will be indeed," while he winks at Spevy. Spevy said, "I don't doubt it," and he attacks Meaty, both falling to the ground. The cannibals come to assist by hitting Spevy with their bats. Then the non-cannibals came to help Spevy with weapons such as pipes and tools. The cannibals overpowered them by hacking at their feet, making them fall down. Spevy also got pinned against the floor. Some escaped and went to hide. Meaty asked, "Do you accept the ways things are going to be, or will you be our first meal?" Spevy said, "I'll accept under one condition. Leave Bob and his wife and kids. There's plenty of people around here who you can cook. They don't need to be taken." Meaty looks at the crowd and notices they were one of the people who escaped, so he says, "Deal." Spevy asked, "So, what you gonna force me to do now then? Meat beater?" Fat Man said with a deep, raspy, amused voice, preparing the meals. Meaty said, "Yes, the cook. That will be your duty in our arrangement." Spevy said, "Then call me chef." Meaty said, "Yes, our own little special chef. Now why don't you take this man here? What's your name?" The man said, "Henry." Meaty said, "Yes, Henry. So you start here. Take these down with you to start your first shift. We do everything up here to store the food." Spevy said, "I'll pick up Henry's, Nub, and I suppose ready myself to go to where I'll be preparing the food." Early in the morning, Quarter and Pato got into a long fight over Scribble and how it influences the player's image. Quarter tried to rage bait Pato by reminding him of his low Scribble score from the previous round and how it affects the others and makes him less important to keep in. Pato disagreed with this, as he thinks the games can be random. Apparently, both sides were rage baiting on purpose or making it over dramatic, as Pato made Gerald pretend to be against Pato and roast him in the chat, while in reality, they were laughing about it in their alliance and apologizing to each other for what they were saying. This was Pato's, Lean's, Gerald's, and Cheesy's way to Quarter and Hugo feel false safety, as they were about to get him out and didn't want him to panic and pull some tricks. Hugo asked, "So we voting Pato?" Quarter said, "Absolutely. Me and Gerald already locked in a vote against him. Just up to you to finish it off. As long as nobody's betraying us, we're good." Gerald asked, "So just to clarify, we're voting out Quarter, right? Then we can vote off the other guy?" Cheesy said, "Low-key, I don't think Hugo's that bad. He's a newbie that sided with Quarter cause they made an alliance first." Gerald said, "He's not bad, but he might just scheme against us if he really supports Quarter. I'd be down with keeping him alive if he joins us and chills." Cheesy said, "Let's deal with Quarter first. Cross that bridge when we get to it." Pato said, "IMA make him mad. Ragebait mode activated." Then it was time for elimination and Quarter got voted out as his alliance was smaller. He only had Hugo voting with him. The murderer had poisoned Quarter's water, so he died of poisoning. "I'm so glad Quarter is gone. Nice try, buddy boy." Pato said, "Bro, I'm shaking. We took down Quarter. That's a huge feat. He was a tyrannical leader. I hate those." Early in the morning, Perma, Rebek, Cameron and Lean decided to head out to explore the cabin by the lake. They were joined by two men, Jerry and Tom. Rebek asked, "Jerry and Tom, are you sure you guys want to join us?" Jerry nods, "Hell yeah." Tom said, "Gotta do everything I can to help us survive and find food." Then they picked a 1 in 20 chance of death as it is an outside mission, picking one number. Then if the random number generator picks the same one, the player dies during the mission. They then picked the hazmat suits and opened the door to the icy Swedish woods outside as they started to hike towards the lake. Perma said, "We're not far now. I say we set up shop and rest a bit at the lake while we loot." Cameron said, "We are getting closer, folks, but BRR, it's cold out here." Rebek said, "That's a good idea. We can make a fire here." Perma said, "Stand closer to the flame if you need. Don't worry if it burns you." Lean asked, "Wait, so which of us have marks?" Rebek said, "I know I do on my back." Perma said, "Only Ree, he's the only one who was there for the encounter. I've just been experimenting with the shadow. It's how I've gotten my spear to work." Rebek said, "I haven't used my book yet. I might. If I do, I might end up dying or hurting you guys." Perma said, "We know it's hopefully fine, especially since Noah gave it back." Then the wind pushes Lean on the fire, but he rolls over and is fine. Then suddenly an animalistic and powerful high-pitched scream echoes in the night, coming from somewhere far away, so they decided to run into the cabin. While Jerry stays to guard the door outside, the rest start to search the cabin for stuff. They found food cans from the kitchen and a trophy from the bedroom, which was an immunity that Lean won for tomorrow's elimination. Then in the living room, they noticed that the walls were carved up with the same symbol, repeating over and over. There was also a painting of men in black cloaks around a fire with the same cabin in the background, summoning something. Then Perma found a quote from the wall carved in. It said, "Through the darkness we spill blood, for eternal will the night be." The quote had also appeared in the book, so they decided to say it out loud. They all chanted, "Through the darkness we spill blood, for eternal will the night be." Because Perma was holding the spear with the symbol, his blood connected to it. Something activated. The cabin started to shake, slowly growing in intensity. The furniture started to shake too, and items started to fall off shelves. Then the windows broke at once, and everything started to levitate upwards, including the players. The objects started to move around and be thrown around. Jerry outside was thrown through a window into the living room and died. Tom was thrown on top of the levitating dining table, which made them both crash to the floor, with a shelf falling on Tom, killing him. Perma was thrown out the window. Lean got thrown against the wall, then while leaning against it sitting down, a knife was thrown next to his head to the wall. Then in one go, every object still floating dropped and made a boom sound against the floor. Cameron dislocated his arm. Lean noticed through the mirror that he had the symbol burnt to his forehead. Perma asked, "Anyway, should we eat?" "Not the canned food. We are better off saving that, and we're in a nice cabin to cook it all up in." Rebek asked, "Wait, you aren't thinking of eating human, right?" Perma said, "But food is our rarest recourse. We best take it where we can." Cameron asked, "Are the saunas functioning? If you are expecting me to go all cannibal, I want to get a soak in first." Rebek said, "You know what? Let's goon in the sauna." Perma said, "Hear me out. Make some wooden pyres outside. Put the bodies on them. You lot start up the goon sauna. I light them up. By the time we're done in there, food will be finished."
We trekked through the icy woods, where we found a lonely cabin by a lake. We accidentally summoned a power so strong that killed 2 men that were with us.
a goon cabin is there.
Sitting by the lake under the nuclear night sky, whispering a prayer for Jerry and Tom as a shooting star flies over us, make a wish, baby, I said.
Perma said, no one can know of what happened here. Cameron said, boys, we don't tell anyone what happened out there. And I'm talking about the cannibalism, not the 4-man jerk session in a sauna. That's fine. Perma said, what happened at the cabin by the lake stays by the cabin by the lake. Then Perma burnt down the cabin as they gooned while it burnt down. Then they left and walked their way back home, to safety. Then during the evening, Perma, Lean and Rebek went to explore the bunker, with the goal to explore the artifact room. As they walk to the hallway, they see a crowd laughing at a man in the hallway who still worships the AI gods. Shippo said, but that is what I believe. Robots are our god. We betrayed them and now we are being rightfully punished for it. One man yells, sheep, oh, mockingly, while the crowd laughs. Shippo said, oh man, I guess I'll always be a lone wolf here. They'll never understand me. I am simply superior, he says while walking away with hands in his pockets. Then after walking there, at the artifact room, they noticed a fresh bloody footprint on the hatch, so they opened it and went inside. They found 10 men in black cloaks kneeling down in front of an altar, with priest Noah crucified to the wall in front of them. A man asked, are you with the shadow? Perma said, I'm not sure. I brought it something though, a gift, and he throws the head of Jerry on the floor. The man said, you are on with the shadow, join us. Rebek and Perma kneeled down as well, and everyone started to chant, through the shadows we bleed, for eternal will the night be, while the room started to shake and the shelves full of items started to make sounds. Then they all slowly started to levitate, while the air started to feel more dense. Perma and Rebek noticed a feeling of something invading their brains, making them think of horrible things. Almost like a force entered them, like dozens of whispers playing out in their heads, but making out every word, but forgetting. Then everyone fell down at the same. The experience was like the best orgasm and the worst nightmare at once. It is assumed that they were now both part of the cult, but Rebek wouldn't return the book to the men in cloaks. The men in black cloaks told that their goal is to kill and sacrifice everyone in the bunker. Tension built in the room as Rebek backed away to the ladder. As he tried to climb up, a force shut down the hatch, but he forced it open. At the artifact room, he started to chant, be my eternal shield, for the shadow will protect me, from the book. He started to levitate through the air as the same mind-invading forces took him over. Meanwhile, at the secret room below, everyone except Perma got raised to the air. As the force grew in Rebek, the men started to scream as blood poured out of their eyes, noses, and mouths. Then they exploded into a splatter of blood one by one, covering Perma in their blood, partially Rebek. Perma looked at the scene covered in blood, eyes with a wild, animalistic look, as he broke into a maniacal laughter. Perma looked at the scene covered in blood, eyes with a wild, animalistic look, as he broke into a maniacal laughter. He took a hazmat suit and packed his stuff, leaving the bunker. He made it to the village, but blacked out for the journey, as he had many times recently more and more frequently. The village was a snow-covered Abanon village with futuristic-looking buildings. He entered an apartment building with a frozen robot and AI propaganda posters. He noticed a hatch that he opened that had stairs going down to a tiny bunker. A man by the name of Damien came to point at him with a gun, asking who he is. Rebek said, "Whoa, hold there, pal. I'm not here to harm you. I came from the bunker northwest from here." Damien asked, "There's another bunker? I've been too scared to leave due to some horrifying screams every time I go out. Can you take me there?" Rebek said, "No, it's not safe." Damien asked, "Do you want to stay the night? You are safe here. My name is Damien." Damien asked, "Do you want to stay the night? You are safe here. My name is Damien." Damien said, "I am alone here. Have been the whole time. I survived with food. This bunker was filled. Sadly, I ate it all. Only a few cans left. That's why I was hoping you'd take me to your bunker." Rebeck pulls out his Jerry and Tom's sausages. Damien asked, "You have sausages?" Rebeck said, "Yeah, I made them the other day. Don't ask where the meat comes from." Then Rebeck showed him the book, but warned to not read or touch it for his own safety, so he agreed. Rebeck asked, "So, how do you end up in this bunker?" Damien said, "The robots of this village, they were taken out by the humans. We took them out when we had had enough of them. I lost my brother in the fight, Dedalo. However, the next part one must admit I regret. See, when the nukes dropped, I locked myself in the bunker. I had to. There was not enough food to last us all in this small space." Rebeck said, "It's okay. I've done bad things too, let me tell you. That book over there, it holds dark magic, sacrificial rituals. In our bunker, we weren't safe. There was a cult, ready to kill everyone. So I used the book to protect myself, but I didn't realize it would kill every last one of them." Damien listens his story as he is chewing on the sausages Rebeck brought. Then meanwhile at the bunker, Perma and Lean had backstabbed Rebeck, allying with Cameron to vote Rebeck out, which they did, and Rebeck was eliminated today. Lean said, "Let it be known that this is absolutely nothing personal, Rebeck." Perma said, "How the fuck does another Brit finally end up on the game and we kill him off, what the fuck?" At the bunker in the village while drinking hot chocolate, Rebeck's eyes turn white. His mouth opens wide. He starts to wiggle as he loses control of his body. He starts to raise up to the air as he is screaming in an animalistic way. The man, Damien, is watching this with confusion as they were just drinking hot chocolate. Rebeck starts to shake and wiggle even more as everything in the room shakes. Then in a dramatic moment, Rebeck explodes into a splatter of blood as his symbol mark on his back flashes. Rebeck got way too deep down the rabbit hole, and running away from the power was no good choice. Meanwhile at the bunker, Cameron said, "What a way to go." Ensured there were no Rebeck sausages, he knew too much. Perma said, "Good way to die. Feed this recovering cannibal human flesh. Drop the secrets of the horrors of the world. Then explode and don't elaborate." Space Wolf has continued the quest at the city, where he had slept overnight with Postal and the recently passed TG Mid. Postal was an NPC this mission. Space Wolf noticed a fire burning at the direction of the cabin by the lake. He also heard the same animalistic high-pitched screams from distance. They looted some other rooms and found a pistol and 6 bullets. They found more guns at the bunker underneath the city, which will be determined later of which kind. He tried to look for food from another apartment building, but found that it had been looted. They then returned to their bunker, hiking through the cold woods at night, hearing the scream a few times from somewhere up north. They returned safely to the bunker and hid in the vents, as they were both still wanted men. Then it was determined by the scribble matches of today that tribes A and D would go vote tomorrow, the last day of the pre-merge.